They have the hard-hitting analysis.
I'm anti-injury, so maybe this won't work out.
Kyler's only playing one tight end this week, so that's probably going to help him out a lot.
They tell it like it is.
That's not what I needed, Grandma Nut.
All right, the hipster fantasy player.
I don't do anything.
Their listeners love them.
Found all your charts boring, to be frank. Caitlin was the star of the show.
They break down all the statistics.
20 points. That doesn't quite add up. Maybe he had 93.
This is the Snick Snack Sports Podcast.
Here we... All right, Snickers, help me out.
What's going on, all you friendly folks out there? I am Snickers. This is Meat Snack. Welcome to the Mansfield Penn State Fantasy Football Sports Podcast. How are you doing today, Snack?
Doing great, Snickers. How are you doing tonight?
Doing great tonight. Got the Culpepper jersey on.
Very nice. We've got an exciting show for you tonight. We've got the Jaguars game playing while we record. We've got a big week of with Nick Adams on the show. We'll go over the last week's matchups, the lowest scoring week of the year. We'll talk about Snickers' woes, and we'll see what's going on next week. And so what happened this week, Snickers? Let's look at the standings.
Yeah. So we got a good amount of teams that are still at the top here. We got John and Nick Adams, who's coming on in a second here at 5-1, having great years, and they're usually, middle of the barrel. They might be 3-3. John might be, 1-5 at this point. But Ducky, Carson, both sticking over 500 as well. And it's kind of strange to see how many teams are not at 500 or better. I guess it's just week 6 woes here, but the playoff percentage is looking pretty competitive over there.
Yeah, I mean, we actually have a perfectly even field at the moment. 2 5-1 teams, 2 1-5 teams, 2 2-4 teams, 2 4-2 teams, and then 4 3-3s. So now what I thought was very interesting, look at the points for, like I did the past few weeks. I've sorted it, and you are actually, you've dropped down the past couple of weeks. You're in the middle of the pack now. But your points against gets more and more outrageous. Now, this year, of course, points against, or the average score for a team has gone up because we have 2 new positions. And it's actually, did the math, 122 points per week for the average team. So on average, 122 points to win the week. The opponents are scoring against you, Snickers, 146 points. That is a week-winning week, and you've had that as your average week, and that's not going to continue to happen, especially as bye weeks come around. So I think you are doing just fine. Meanwhile, we see Carson here in 4th place and has the second worst score, and it's because his average score against them is 103 points per week.
Yeah, no, Carson's got the easy road beginning of the year. I started out with the hard road just for the fun of it, to watch the comeback, make it all that much greater. Yeah,
so it's interesting. I think that you're still definitely. It's 1-5 is always hard to come back from because you got like two losses left you're allowed to have. But I think you finished close to 500, honestly. Now, what happened with our bet last week?
Yeah, our bet last week was looking at Kyler's quarterbacks. He was starting Joe Burrow over Tua Tagovailoa, and being probably the biggest Tua fan in the league, I thought that was obviously a mistake, and as it turns out, it was. Both Tua and Joey B got the W in real life, but Joe only scored about 13 fantasy points, while Tua scored about 21. So I got the big W there, back up to 3-3 in our overall bet standings of the season.
Yeah, 3-3. Now that means that Kyler also made the wrong choice. He did lose by almost 60 points, so the 7-point difference there, or whatever it was, not probably breaking the deal on that loss, but tiebreaker is 0.4, so he still would have liked to have made the right call that week. Now this week, we are honing in on an interesting tight end matchup between you and your opponent this week, who is
Carson.
Carson.
Yeah, aforementioned. Absolutely. No. Yeah, Carson's playing the Minnesota Viking, TJ Hawkinson. He's been in the system for about a year now. versus my Mark Andrews, who has been in the Ravens system for what? Drafted in 2017, 18, something like that. Been there for a while. And I think that Mark's gonna stomp on the big old hawk there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they have identical points scored on the season. However, Mark Andrews has played one fewer week, so really he has a leg up on Hawkinson. But Hawkinson's getting more targets now that Justin Jefferson's missing a few weeks. I think it tips the balance in Hawkinson's favor. I do like the Vikings offense just better. And so I'm happy to take that bet.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes this week.
Looking into some of the interesting matchups last week. I know one of the John continues to succeed, now playing his rival Katie, and blew her out of the water, 160-point week. That comes on just kind of all around success from his team. John has a really good team. Every week he's having to decide between playing Mike Evans, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Keenan Allen, and Adam Thielen, who is the wide receiver 4 on the season, I believe. He's on his bench.
Something like that. I think since week 1 he's number 4. Yeah.
It's crazy that Adam Thielen can be doing that kind of thing, and I don't even blame him for benching him with his current roster. I mean, I might put him in now for Mike Evans, perhaps. Mike Evans had a good season so far too, and Keenan Allen obviously has been blowing up the league. So, I mean, he's basically a 4 wide receiver once.
Yeah. No, and the first real controversy is going to come this week when Kyron Williams is going to be out for a little bit now. He's going to have to replace him with Breece Hall, so it's not necessarily much of a downgrade, but depending on how good the Jets are doing this week here.
Yeah. Just to highlight my matchup for a minute, Matt, who has now won 2 weeks in a row, so coming out of the basement after an 0-4 start. It came down to what Austin Eckler could do on Monday night. I was down by 18 points. Very reasonable for Austin Eckler to do that. He had a really terrible game. It was something like less than 2 yards a carry on a decent number of carries. Caught a couple of passes to make his day look not awful, 8.2 points. But I am worried that his ankle's still bothering him. Meanwhile, Matt just eked it out. Saquon ended up getting a big run. Garrett Wilson got a big catch. So Matt's team is not looking like a bottom of the barrel team to me at the moment. I don't think he makes the playoffs, but he's not a pushover.
No, absolutely not. Matt's never going to be a pushover. He's a regular playoff contender and the commissioner of the league, so he's always going to be at least semi-competitive.
Yeah, and I know you had a tough week. Ducky has now won 4 in a row, I believe. The Olive Man, and rightfully called the Mighty Olive Man because his team is really starting to catch some fire. So it was a kind of tough matchup for you when you really needed the win, but I do think things turn in your direction. And it's interesting to see Kenny's team just continue to struggle. We were early on in the season calling his team dominant. Now he's 3-3, just 2 weeks in a row of really below average scores.
Yeah, I mean, losing to someone who doesn't score 100 points, that's tough. I really wish I could have been in that matchup against either of them here. I was thinking Carson this week, but that'd be tough here. And also shout out for Ducky for naming his team the Might of the Olive Man. It seems like it's a positive spin on his opponent versus a negative spin than they normally do. So shout out Duck.
And now why don't you tell us a little bit about the news going around the league?
Yeah, there's a lot of actually, bad injuries still going around here. Anthony Richardson, who we told you last week was on IR, is having season-ending surgery. It's going to be Gardner Minshew the rest of the way for the Colts. We got Justin Fields out for at least a little while. Christian McCaffrey out. I already said Rams running back Kyron. But David Montgomery also going to be out for probably a couple weeks here. Good news, though, is Kyler Murray's coming back soon. Deontay Johnson's coming back soon. And a lot of teams are getting a lot of defensive players back as well. It's going to be good sailing for, fingers crossed, hopefully the rest of the season for everyone.
Yeah, it's been a tough week for injuries. A lot of them didn't end up being as bad as they initially looked like, which of course we always like. The Christian McCaffrey thing was scary. Do like hearing that some of these guys are coming back. And now before we have our guest on the show today, we just have a quick word from today's sponsor. Perhaps.
Are you tired of boring snacks? The same old nuts or ruts? Too much of a fuss to make muss? Give meat snacks a try. Meat snacks are a new delicious food brought to you by the geniuses behind aloe vera margarita and road pasta. They are made from 100% food with plenty of added sugar. Kids love them, adults love them, everyone except the Dutch love them, but the Dutch can get rid. No, seriously, fuck the Dutch. If you want a new food you can wank, yank, or spank, get meat snacks, and justice for Hank.
Thank you to Meat Snacks sponsoring our show once again. All right, welcome Nick to the show. Nick, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing all right. It's been a good day, good week, good season so far for me.
Yeah, I see you rocking the Astros hat today. Are you all of a sudden an Astros fan?
This is an Albuquerque Isotopes hat, actually.
Oh wow!
Going a small ball hat there.
But you gotta root for the teams that don't like to cheat that much, so there's no cheating in that league.
Exactly. That's why I'm a Pirates fan. If they were cheating at all, they'd be, somewhat decent.
That's hilarious.
Crickets are thinking they were good for a few weeks this season at least.
Yeah, the first week they really they came out swinging and then they just died like I thought they would.
Yeah, it's very sad. But I know we're mainly here to talk about football. How are you feeling about the way your season's been going?
I can't complain. I had a little bit of an interesting draft strategy this year. Seems to have paid off, although based on a lot of my weeks, it's been pretty tight games for me. I'm one of the lower scoring point totals, but I'm up tied for first right now, so can't complain.
Yeah, no, you definitely stomped out Shane last week. Shane started hot and finished with 89 points. How do you think you were able to hold him down to that level?
I really don't know. I thought he was gonna come out swinging. Really looked good going into the week, but I honestly don't know what happened. He just fell off. It was surprising to me, probably surprising to him. I'm not gonna complain. I'll take the win, but I thought it was gonna be more of a competition than it was last week.
Yeah. I saw a -2 from Jake Elliott. Do you have any people shining some light in his eyes when he was trying to kick last week? He's one of the only players in the league who can kick 60-yarders consistently.
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do to get to the top here. I'm not gonna say I did or didn't do anything, but that's I'm being told that's as much as I should say.
Smart. Now you said you had a kind of a different draft strategy this year. What was your strategy?
I tried to, based on previous years' time, when different positions were going to go, so I could pull them one round before they would usually. So I got Kelsey first round, but then I went for a defense early. I went for my defensive player early, my kicker early, and so far all of my lesser skilled positions seem to be paying off large dividends.
No, I definitely like the bottom part of your roster a lot. There's Zaire
Yeah.
and 49ers, just JT, obviously the best kicker in the league. And Brady Pinion, always pinning him back deep. So
Tucker had a huge week last week in London.
Yeah, I have to admit, I was pretty critical of your draft strategy at the time, now that you mention it. But so far it's paid off, and I might be eating my words if this keeps up.
Yeah, I went for running backs and wide receivers were somewhat value picks, but I got a couple of good ones, and the rest of it seems to be paying off.
Yeah,
we'll see how I do going into bye weeks. Going into bye weeks, it might get a little more rough for me, but I can't complain at the time or right now.
Yeah, well, it looks like this week you are facing your brother-in-law, who is one of the worst teams in the league. But I would still be interested to hear your approach. You're projected to win by 20, maybe not close. We know things can change. What do you see happening here?
Well, he's obviously got some big players there. Saquon, I don't know that he's gonna come back and because he's coming off injury. I think he's gonna be a little slow. DJ Moore, he's been picking up, but he's been hit and miss. I'm honestly not too concerned with his roster. He's got the Commanders defense, and he's got Stafford, who's 90 years old, playing quarterback. I'm not really concerned about my little brother-in-law this week.
Are you concerned at all that he picked up Amari DeMarcado, who's going to take some snaps away from your guy Keontae Ingram?
Not really. Honestly, based on looking at the lines, even if Keontae gets nothing, I'm probably still going to beat him.
Yeah, you must be pleased to see that it's less than a quarter of the way through the game, and Travis Etienne already has almost 9 points.
Yeah, I got it up over here. Got to keep tabs on my players. I really would have liked him to punch in the touchdown, but we had a lot of football left to play.
So he has 8 points without the touchdown?
No, he got a touch. Yeah.
Oh, he did get the touchdown.
Ooh, I missed
3
that
carries
then.
for 6 yards and a touchdown. Not very efficient, but probably all goal line work.
Well, I'll take what I can get. Touchdown actually over take the short touchdown runs. They're easier than a 40-yarder and worth more.
No, you got it.
Yeah.
Oh God, that was.
Now, you've got, not. I guess your bench is. I wouldn't call it the strongest or the weakest in the league, but you have some guys you can plug in there. What were some of the tough good to make this week?
My toughest choice, I'd say, was going with Keontae. Like I said, my running backs and receivers, I'm especially not deep at running back, so I got to kind of go for what I can get. Receivers, I'm not looking too bad. I was struggling between Cortland Sutton and George Pickens. They look pretty similar. I think I'm gonna go with Pickens, even with Deontay Johnson coming back off of injury. A lot of people think he's going to take some targets away from Pickens, but I think he's actually going to open him up more, getting covered by like their DB2 or their second corner.
No, it's definitely a lot of great insight. Nate, who are you looking at this week as far as the matchup to watch?
I'm excited about this matchup between Ducky and John. They're first and third place right now. John needs to set his lineup still. He's still got time on that. But Ducky's projected over 130 points. He has Chris Olave in this game. He's a slow start, but it's only the first quarter. But I talked about this before, but John's team is just so wealthy at wide receiver that I don't envy his position of picking every week, except for this week because he has someone on bye. He's kind of immune to bye weeks at the wide receiver position. Meanwhile, at running back, he can just plug. Where did he go? I guess Breece Hall is actually on bye, so he has to go with Gus. And has to pick up a new kicker. So there's the potential, especially for John, to actually let some things slip through the cracks. It'll be interesting to see what he does. His weakest position, I think, is his quarterback. Who are you guys thinking in this matchup?
I'm looking at Ducky's team, obviously looking like not a great decision not keeping Kenneth Walker last year. I could have, but I like Ducky's team, overall. Obviously, AJ Brown's turning it on. Not the biggest Isaiah Pacheco fan, or definitely not a Kareem Hunt fan, but his team is looking pretty decent, Texans and all.
Yeah, the Texans, they're not really cracking the starting lineup, though, right?
Not until the bye weeks here.
Oh, yeah, we got bye weeks. Keep forgetting about. There's just so many bye weeks this week.
Yeah.
What about you, Nick? Who do you think?
Looking at it, honestly, I think it's going to be pretty tight, especially if John actually replaces his kicker or his punter that's on bye. That would probably be a good decision for him this week. I know a lot of people would say that Russ isn't the best to have slotted in at quarterback, and they're correct. Kirk Cousins is usually a better choice, but they're going up against San Francisco this weekend, so that's a pretty tough defense to play against. I think Russ might actually have Kirk this week in points.
Hmm.
And other than that, oh, they have a lot of boom or bust guys on both sides, in my opinion. But I think I think if I had to pick, I think the Olive Man's going to pull one out this week. And I'm not just saying that because I want John to lose.
I kind of think so too. So we probably have a bit of a consensus there. I am surprised to see that Russ actually is projected slightly above Kirk. Now in John's defense, now we gave him a lot of shit last week for not setting his lineup the previous week. And I did speak to John, and it sounds like he actually did attempt to set his lineup, and he was on a camping trip in Maine, and they did not have service to do it at that moment. So I guess we got to give that one to him.
That's unfortunate. Hate to see that happen, especially in such a competitive when he's having such a competitive season. But you gotta look ahead. Gotta be prepared,
He actually
especially if you're going into the wilderness.
He actually sent me a text message that he sent to Ducky saying, "Hey, can you set my lineup? Like, here's my password," kind of thing for the account. And the message just didn't go through.
Oof.
Yeah.
Planning there. Now, Snickers, who do you have as your matchup of the week?
I'm looking at two teams that are, fifth and sixth overall in the league, but it seems like they're not performing as well as they would like to be. It's Kenny Gamblers Anonymous versus Fufu Cuddly Poops Kyle this week. They have a very interesting matchup. They both have a lot of firepower on the teams, especially if Chris McCaffrey does go. If not, then it's definitely going to be a Kyle victory. But Kenny's got, Justin Herbert, got Devontae Smith, Brandon Ayuk, Calvin Ridley, who hasn't scored yet today, but is going to finish the game with a decent amount of points here. And against Kyle's team, who has Lamar and Jahmyr Gibbs, Jerome Ford, a couple backup running backs, but they're all still going to be pretty good, especially with Dave Montgomery out this week. Tyreek Hill, Zay Flowers, going to fly off the page here. It's tough to see exactly who's going to win, especially looking at their benches are actually probably some of the deeper in the league. I might have to actually lean toward Kyle this week, though, overall.
I could
What do
see
you
that.
think, Nate?
I mean, this is a big week for him because Jahmyr Gibbs getting his big shot. He was dealing with his own injury, but was definitely losing a lot of snaps. David Montgomery was really only playing a small portion of the game. This week, it seems like he's the leader. And he might be able to hold it if he impresses here, given his college talent.
Yeah, I mean, Craig Reynolds definitely playing, but we'll see how good Jahmyr Gibbs is doing this week. What are you thinking here, Nick?
I actually would have to respectfully disagree. I think Kenny's going to pull out the win this week. Just looking at his roster, he's got Herbert, McCaffrey, Aaron Jones. Looking over at Kyle, he's got Lamar and Zay, who, as a Steelers fan myself, I'm not a huge fan of the Ravens, but I don't think them going up against Detroit, they're going to have a great week. I think they'll do okay. They might win the game, but I don't know that Lamar and Zay are going to put up big numbers. And Jameer's going to have a tough time running against the Ravens defense as well. I think they might, a lot of his roster is going to be kind of hurting each other on that front. Unless it turns into a shootout, I think he might be in trouble. They are two high-powered offenses, but they're also two pretty good defenses. If it's a low-scoring game, that Baltimore Detroit game, I think he's going to be in trouble this week. So I think Kenny gets the nod from me.
You're absolutely right. If the game does go low scoring there, one thing to notice: Darren Wall's girlfriend / fiance Kelsey Plum just won the WNBA championship 2 nights ago, so that might be some extra motivation for him to play well against the Commanders. But
extra motivation, or he might be having a little bit of a hangover too. You don't know. He could play worse.
That's absolutely true.
That's true. Now, we can't also forget, though, that I know that doesn't represent it here with the typical cues, but Christian McCaffrey, Aaron Jones, and Devontae Smith all have the potential not to play. Now, I think it's probable that at least one of them plays, but losing those two running backs, especially, I think are kind of 50-50 right now. And he loses both of those, and he's all of a sudden putting in Kenny Gainwell and Craig Reynolds. So he doesn't have a lot of wiggle room here if his starting running back can go out there.
I don't like those as backup running backs for him, and I am a little bit concerned that McCaffrey might not play this week. That would be unfortunate for Kenny there. I think he might. I think he could still get it done without him, but he'd need his backup running back to step up.
We got a few extra backup running backs in my roster. I tried to send the guy some, but he wouldn't take the help. He just flat out said no. So,
looks like the old Gamblers Anonymous didn't want to gamble on the trade.
Oh, indeed. Now let's take a look at the free agent. I was definitely looking forward to seeing how this panned out. I kind of stayed uninvolved in this week, even though I'm usually one of the more active free agent people, just because I thought there was a multitude of running backs, and I just felt like they were all too risky. But some people disagreed, including you, Snickers.
Yeah, I got Zach Evans, who, quote unquote, was the number one guy to go after. I know there's a chance he might not be that great. The Rams just put a couple more guys in their practice squad, but Zach Evans should be number one on Sunday, and we'll see how he goes. Obviously, rookie running back. The most fun part about this was I put in the exact same amount as Kenny and just beat him into waivers, meaning I did not possibly overspend on Zach Evans.
That's right. This is the one time you benefit from having a lower standing than him. So you get the better waiver pickup.
Yeah, absolutely. But Nick, you got Keontae Ingram for $7, and
yeah, I think that's a deal for me. I'm not planning on having too many waiver pickups this season, and I looking at the snaps last week to this week, I think Keontae is going to have more of a workload than people think, but I'm no expert. We'll see. I'm starting him straight off waivers into my lineup.
Yeah, no, I think he's definitely could have a lot of volume. That's what's going to help him. I know me and Nate listened to this fantasy podcast that thinks Keontae Ingram is not a good running back at all. But if you get enough volume, then he can definitely help out in fantasy.
Yeah. Well, I don't need him to be a great running back this year. I need him to be a great running back this week. That's it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
1 week rental is certainly worth $7. I do think you got a good deal on him. I was expecting him to go, given that he is kind of the starter, and a starting running back on any team, I would say, is usually worth over 10. So even for
I took a little gamble going low, but I didn't think anyone else was going to pick him up, and looks like I was right. So I can't complain there.
Yeah. And now, do any of you have anything else to add? We have no hot takes this week, so I guess just what are you guys looking forward to in terms of watching some real NFL this week?
Watching some real NFL. The Steelers are coming off bye week. We still got Matt Canada at offensive coordinator. That's seems like a terrible idea to me, but that's Steelers football. We don't fire coaches. We'll run that ship into the ground if we have to. Tomlin will still get a winning season, or at least go even. So, it's not bad to be a Steelers fan, but it's kind of disappointing to watch the product on field on offense. Defense has been crushing it though, so can't complain there.
Yeah, I mean, believe us, we're being Patriots fans. We're not having a great offensive season either. But one matchup I'm definitely looking forward to Sunday Night Football is Dolphins-Eagles. I think this might have been flexed into Sunday Night Football. Two of the hottest teams in the league going at each other. Offense against grit is made to be the Prada Purse team versus the gritty, dirty Eagles team. So it'll be a really fun game to watch here, Nate.
Yeah, on the Patriots real quick. Yeah, they're 1-5 right now. I think Patriots fans, I mean, it's been no fun to watch them, but I think I have to start rooting against them, right? Hopefully pick up one of the higher profile quarterback picks this year. And I didn't really think going into the year we'd have a shot at them, but now it seems like unless we gave away our pick and I don't know about it, we have a shot at one of these good guys.
Yeah, we still have our first round pick in 2024, but Bears have 1 and 2, so we'll see how it goes.
The Bears are less likely to want a quarterback, although it's possible to want one. I'm excited about the Lions Ravens. The Ravens have been playing some kind of boring football this year, but I've really been enjoying the Lions' journey. Kind of rooting for them this year. I'd say they're probably my favorite team after the Patriots at the moment. Just a fun team to watch, and hopefully the Ravens come alive and it's a big high-scoring game.
Well, I'm not hoping for a high scoring game, but I will agree that I think the Lions are probably my second team this year. I really have enjoyed watching them over the past few seasons with Dan Campbell taking over and really turning them into a winning program.
Yeah, they're going to the playoffs this
Even
year.
fun to watch.
Be fun.
Agreed. But I guess that's all that we've got for today. So, thanks for joining us, Nick. I know you're hoping the season continues the way it is. We both are looking to move up in the standings and possibly replace you. So I'm not going to say.
But best of luck to you on that. Thanks for having me.
We will, see you all next week.
There you go, and go Isotopes.
Heck yeah.